welcome back to another episode of Holiday Horror here on Horror Fiend TV. I am Joe the Psychologist. Let me introduce you to my beer brother, my partner in crime here. Ricky, how you doing tonight?
We all cheer for big bottles of beer. It's that time of the year where love is in the air and blood and guts is on my TV. Let's
Oh,
go, my
yeah.
brother. Let's go.
We're in February now. So, obviously, what holiday is in February? The month of love, celebrating St. Valentine's Day. In this movie that we'll be discussing, which was released in 1981, it is the OG My Bloody Valentine. The movie is directed by George Mihalik, and it stars Paul Kellman as TJ, Lori Hallier as Sarah, Neil Affleck as Axel, and Keith Knight as Hollis. So the town of Valentine's Bluff has been living under this legend of some tragedy that had happened many years ago that they stopped celebrating Valentine's Day, which really sucked for a town that has the name Valentine in it, which they're going to decorate for everything, but to
The
go
irony.
years, huh?
The irony.
Yeah, I know. So, but to go years of not being able to celebrate and being told that, especially if they have a dance, that a certain legend will come back. So, Ricky, just give us a little background on Harry Warden and basically what the tragedy was and what the threat eventually became.
Harry Warden was one of several miners that was caught in an accident in a mine. It was due to negligence. A methane explosion occurred, and a lot of the his colleagues were definitely fucked up, right? And by the time they found my man Harry, he was found as the only survivor, and the only way he survived was feasting on his dead colleagues. So my man Harry blamed those like irresponsible supervisors that was, on duty that day. They were in charge, partying and not even, realizing that there was an explosion to begin with. And yeah, man, I think a year later, after he was locked up in a sanitarium, and he came
Yeah.
back and he killed them two motherfuckers. We'll get deeper into what spiraled out of that confrontation and massacre, but yeah, that's pretty much his story. It's pretty simple, a guy left for dead, and ever since then, every Valentine Day, if there's a party and people having sex and doing drugs and just having a good time, he goes in there, chop, 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 he fucks you up. So yeah,
Yep.
Harry Warden, man. What you think about that guy, bro?
Well, I like, as you said earlier, this is a Canadian. So this is the
Yeah.
second one we've now done for the new series that's Canadian. And I did the same thing with my friends. I had Adam and Nicole watch Terror Train. So I'm like, I hate to do this to you. I want you to check this movie out. And the first thing I said, is this from Canada? I'm like, you
Canada, let
mean
me tell you, Black Christmas. What year was Black Christmas?
74,
It's like, yeah, 74, and this was 81. So two of the
81?
top like slashers before slashers took off were from Canada. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, obviously production, actors, it's a little bit more cheaper than doing it in the United States, but still,
Still to
they
this day
always
too.
produce like my love of the Canadian movies,
Yeah.
and I love
They produce a lot of television too, because like you said, it's very cheap
Oh,
to
yeah.
film there. Yeah.
But for me, I liked the whole, like, it's a folklore, but it's not a folklore based on a beast or a demon. It's just a folklore based on this guy who became a cannibal, and it was only, I think, 5 days. I don't know if in 5 days I'd be willing to eat one of my buddies
Was
because
it
I was
really
that
Friday?
hungry.
Yeah, you're right. He
Yeah, it was
was
only
gnawing on that form, just
yeah. I mean,
eating it like a fucking turkey leg and shit.
maybe being in the darkness, and because again, Terror Train, we're stuck in a train, and this one, we had the mines. But
Yeah.
I liked that the story was rooted on something bad that had happened, and while he is essentially a killer, he's kind of punishing people for being negligent, as
Yeah.
you said, and letting all these other people die, and basically getting them institutionalized. And then that leads to, as you said, Harry made the threat, don't have another party or I'm going to show up. And here we are. I think I forgot how many years it was. It's been, I think, when I say like 20. or
Well,
something like that.
I believe it happened in the '60s, right? When
Yes, it was like 20 years.
yeah, about 20 years because this was it took in the
It was their
early
first one,
'80s.
you know,
Yeah.
good old Mabel and the mayor and the the sheriff
Bro, the
wanted to throw this
tropes though, the
party.
tropes, man. They always gotta
Oh.
have that crazy guy telling the story. Don't go in there. Don't throw the party. The story of Harry Warden. Crazy Ralph fucking wannabe dude. What's the fuck was that guy's name? Happy? What was his name?
Yeah,
Was
something
that his
like
name?
that. Well, and then the worst part is, you know, he was actually defending Harry.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Harry kills him. Like he even like when he created the you know makeshift thing to scare the
Yeah,
kids
he
to
was
teach them a
so
lesson.
happy with that too. He kept opening it, closing it, opening
It,
it, closing it.
it was
Let
that
me
last
ask you, Joe,
one.
which version did you see? Because now this film was heavily edited. There was like 9 minutes of gore just removed from this film altogether. And there is a version, that's the one I'm familiar with. I've seen it. There's a version that added all the gore in. Now you can tell when the scenes are added in because the quality is a lot more like noise to it, like film grain. It looks really, like an old Sega Genesis game compared to like a Super Nintendo if you're old enough to remember that. But that's what it felt like. You could tell the quality dip, and not just that though, but the extreme gore. I asked myself, what was left in this fucking movie? Because when I saw it, obviously when I was younger, I saw the edited version, and seeing the gore version, I can't believe that it's night and day. So I'm asking you, which version are you familiar with? Because you mentioned this scene with Happy. His death is probably the best, hands down, as far as what was added back in.
Well, I rented it on Amazon, and I did find that I remember this movie being a lot more gorier, but the version I was watching wasn't as gory. Like
Probably
when the
not.
kills happened, like you saw him do it, but then it just panned
No,
away to the next
there's no
scene.
cut. So when Happy was killed in your version, you just saw on Amazon. Did it cut away quickly? Because in the
Yeah,
version that I'm familiar with, he gets the actual pickaxe right underneath his neck, and it goes out of his eye socket, and his eyeball just starts pop. It pops out, and he's hanging down. He's holding him. And he's like,
yeah,
ah,
that's not the version I
bro.
saw.
Okay, so if you're look for the real version because that is the version to see. Because this fucking movie, believe it or not, it's fucking graphic. They show some shit, bro, and good shit. Very well made.
After Mabel's death, they said, "We're not doing the party." And, you know, this is a slasher, a teen slasher, even though I wouldn't necessarily call it a teen slasher
This
because most of them are
no.
adults.
You know what I love about this film, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's not a teen slasher.
Mm-mm.
These are all like blue collar folks. They're
Yeah.
adults. They're
I
not
mean,
teenagers. They're
no.
actual like adults with with actual responsibility. They're not guys just horned up. Just they're guys that they're working a fucking mine, and they want to just let loose. You know what I'm saying? Just have one night of fucking. You know what? That's hard fucking work, bro. So they want to get smashed. They want to fuck. I don't see that's so much more relatable as opposed to the horny teen. These are not
Yeah.
teenagers. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's what
Yeah.
really differentiates this film to me from other slashers. It's the cast of characters.
Yeah.
Good
Because
point.
I will say, and we reviewed the remake. When you look at the remake, they look young.
Yeah.
So they were still trying to tell us that they were adults, but they casted everybody pretty young to still make it give it the teen slasher feel.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was adults. This was
Yeah.
everybody was at the bar, so they're all over 21.
Yeah.
So it's literally they don't have to sneak the beer like the other
No.
movies do.
Yeah.
That's how they get in trouble. It's we're
And
adults.
yeah, the remakes all like pretty people, and then this one got my man Hollis. You know what I'm saying? Like some rough burly motherfucker.
Who is that?
Before I ask you if you figured out who the killer was, did you think it was Harry?
Well, the thing is, this is to me. I didn't look at this film as a whodunit because it's Harry Warden.
So you
That's
went
the
in. You went
legend.
in. All right.
Yeah. It's I'm not trying to figure out who's the killer because that's not the vibes this movie gave off. The movie never portrayed it as a mystery. They always told you it's Harry. So by the time we get into the meat and potatoes of it, I'll let you get into that. But yeah, I never looked at it as like a who done it, or I wasn't trying to figure out who was the killer. I just always assumed there was going to be Harry Warden. So
All right.
yeah.
So it had been. I've seen the remake more recently, more times than I've seen the OG one. It easily been about 15 years, maybe a little bit more since I've seen this version. So as I'm wrapping presents and I'm watching the movie and it showed the reveal, I went, "What?
Yeah, you forgot, right?
What?
Yeah, I did the same thing when I first saw like
I gotta watch this movie again." Like, I know that I wasn't 100% paying attention.
yeah.
However, I had seen this movie, so because the Mandela effect was completely on this one, because I thought it was Harry Warden the entire time. So when they revealed the killer, I was like, "Damn, I gotta watch this again."
Yeah, same
Because
here. I was like, this motherfucker. I forgot
yes.
about that.
So I sat there, and when I was rewatching it today, sat down to not be busy to watch it. I think it was effectively done how, as you said, all along you're thinking Harry is back because he's punishing them. I threatened you. Y'all gonna be stupid. Throw this party, and it turns out it wasn't Harry after all. Good old Harry had been dead 5 years, and it
Yeah.
turns out it was someone else. When the reveal happened, again, it'd been so many years that for me, I thought it was Harry. I was like, "Holy shit!"
When I watched it again, the only sign I would tell you is when Axel, TJ, and Sarah, and I forgot the other girl, Pamela. I think she got killed shortly
Patty.
after. Patty. When Axel was separated and you hear him fall and splash or whatever, then TJ looks down. My man's like, "Should we help him?" He's like, "Nah, let's go. Let's go. Fuck this guy."
That's 60
So,
feet deep. I'm not jumping in.
Exactly. But if you know movies, you know the tropes. Yeah, you know the way they're formatted. Essentially, it's all there's unwritten rules in script writing. When you don't see the death, Axel was a big enough character that they're just not gonna throw him away like that. So watching it, not when I saw the first time, I didn't think this when I was younger.
Good
But
point.
knowing everything in hindsight, like, okay, there you go. That's it. That's your telltale sign that Axel is the one behind all of this massacre that's going on.
Paul, tell us why.
It's crazy because when Harry went to get revenge on those two supervisors that were really irresponsible, he was one of their kids, and his father was murdered right in front of him. Blood splattered all over his face. He was underneath the bed, traumatized him. It fucked him up. So yeah,
I like that reveal was done at the end of the movie
at
too.
the end. The one thing I will
Because
say,
if they would have said in the beginning part, something like, "Well, we should check on Axel to see how he's doing." You know what I mean?
Or like, so because there was a kid involved, or they had a son, or blah blah blah. Yeah. You're right.
But
They
it
let
was
that out.
literally right at the end. It was perfectly done right at the end. I
Mhm.
liked it when they had said when Harry came back, he killed Axel's father, and I'm like, and that's a good old like a giallo, Italian. The
That
way
was
they put that
such an
in there,
Argento reveal too.
it
The one thing
was.
I will say is our end heroes, TJ and Sarah didn't know that because when it was revealed, it was all in Axel's head, the flashbacks. He never said, "Oh, Harry killed my." He never said. So to
No.
them, they think he's just some maniac. What the fuck? Because he cuts off his own arm at the end to escape.
Well, he was
I mean,
pinned down and he didn't want to
yeah,
get caught. So
clearly he's insane, but they don't know that because that reveal was in his head. It flashed back. So I'm like,
yeah.
Damn, shouldn't he? I mean, but then if he says something, he's your typical villain twirling his mustache. Ha 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 ha! It was me all along.
Like he did at the end, though. I will say
Yeah,
the maniacal cackle at the end was just it
that
was
was that was
awesome.
silly. Yeah, it
But
was
no,
silly.
it was silly. It was awesome in the silly way. Like and because it fades to black and you just hear this laughter.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
because
Good
it's
ending.
kind
Good
of
ending. Yeah.
it threw it back to Harry losing his mind.
Yeah.
In that moment. All right, so let's wrap up this bloody episode. Any closing thoughts? Any last minute things you want to discuss on it?
No, I mean, really, the weird love triangle between TJ, Sarah, and Axel. It's interesting because it did have some like human like emotion in it, some human elements that was they played it pretty realistically because the two guys are both fucking wrong. TJ goes to Hollywood or to the West Coast to try and make
Yeah.
it as an actor, I'm assuming, or someone in media, fails completely. But as he leaves his girlfriend. She hooks up with Axel, who happens to be there for at the time. But then my man comes back and Axel's there. But they're both fucking idiots. And she's like caught in the middle. So it's they got their moments. I don't know. I didn't. Normally I don't like stuff like that. But I didn't hate it. But the scene when Axel fucking not Axel, TJ kidnaps her apparently. Remember when he takes her to the beach or whatever and they're
Yeah.
talking? Bro, his fucking Canadian accent.
Dude, it
Oh
was
my god. Obviously, I forgot what he was saying, but I'm like, holy shit, he's Canadian.
there was a couple of times even so it when they were in the mines
Yeah.
and he's telling them and he gets all excited.
Yeah.
The dudes, whatever
yeah.
he was it went away.
It went away, yeah, it's crazy.
Like they're like, is he Irish? Like it was like there was
Yeah.
a plethora of accents that came out on him. But again,
Yeah.
it's 1981. It's Canadian movie. No, I don't mean this as a bad way, but
The
production
way he was saying, he was like, I'm sorry. I can't even say it. But it's, yeah, like TJ was totally wrong. Axel's totally insecure. Both of them are fucking morons in that sense. It's hardworking people, you know what I'm saying? That they're just they got this grueling job, just trying to put food on the table. And, a lot of them, they're born into it. 'Cause that's a mining town. So a lot of these people, they're born into it through their families. And they're
Hello, TJ's father owned the place.
Yeah, I know.
He owned it or
He
ran it,
did.
and he's like, if you're gonna come back in town, you're gonna be a miner. Like, there's no choice in the matter.
Interesting. The scene where all the miners are in the showers, they were all filmed from the waist up. But ironically, they actually had them all completely naked filming it, but they never showed. And the water was fucking cold. There wasn't even hot water. The steam it was manufactured, and it was fans blowing the steam in, and that made it even cold. Why have these poor guys fucking butt naked? And then it makes no sense, bro. I read that shit. It blew my fucking mind. But I will say Hollis. I love Hollis. He's the man. He was in that movie, Class of 1984. I think that's Ralph, the one that has Michael J. Fox. He's in that movie. You seen that movie? Come on, man. It's about the teacher that goes in there. It's a school run by gangs.
The thriller. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
Great fucking film, bro. So I remember when I saw Hollis in this, I'm like, he was the fucking asshole in Class of '84. The actor passed on since, but yeah, I liked him a lot, and that's what I dug about this film. The characters felt more adult to me and more realistic. But yeah, dude, how about you, man? What you got to say?
I mean, like I said, I'm gonna find that unrated version because I think that if somebody watches this and then they're gonna go, all right, I'm gonna watch the movie now.
You could buy
it. Do what I did.
I need it in the collection.
Well, I like I said, I rented on Amazon, which was obviously the edited version because it's when you're watching it, you're sitting there like, how is this really a slasher? Like, you don't see the kills.
It's
you just
fucking neutered, bro.
But
By the
still,
way, you mentioned kills. How about I find it funny how they introduce so many random red shirts like when they do that party. People you don't even know their fucking names, and they started one by one getting killed off. Like the one dude got his head put in the fucking boiling hot dog
the eggs.
water.
I mean, the hot dogs. Yes.
Yeah, the hot dog. But yeah, I just found that funny. Out of nowhere, all these random no names show up. Okay, we know who's dying.
That's that Star Trek trope when when they go on their missions and you have the random ones.
The red shirts, yeah, red
Yeah.
shirts.
Oh, is that what that means?
That's where they got it from. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my
That's where the term
god.
comes
I didn't
from,
realize.
bro.
I got it. Now I got it.
If you
then
got a
as you were
red shirt,
saying
you're
that-
gonna die.
And when you said that, I didn't realize that's exactly what you were talking about. Because as soon as you said it, I'm like, that makes you think of Star Trek with the ones with the red shirts, how they die.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the movie. Listen, honestly, the movie is a bit of a time capsule. If you find it unrated where you can actually see how gory it was, it's not so much. We did the remake. For me, I still, I'm, it's not too that I want to not trying to let go of that, but I still like the original stuff because they always seem a little bit more grounded. I do like the remake. They amped up the gore, obviously, but then when you amp up the gore, you kind of then lose something, which is this showed a town that was basically all like affected about what had happened, their fear in things. In the remake, I didn't get the same sense that you got in here. Both movies stand on their own.
Remake, from what I remember when we did review it, I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It's different in its own way, which I like. It separates itself.
That's why it's still one that I'm bad on not having watched it sooner. We brought up when we discussed this about certain movies, and even the next one that we're going to do, I'll be honest with you, I have not seen it in a while. We joke around. If you've watched our episodes, JR likes to bring a certain movie up to Rick. Rick's just not a fan of it. I'm forcing him for this one. So obviously March, it's St. Patrick's Day. So we're going to be doing Leprechaun, which is Jennifer Aniston's first role. So that, just for that, that's a whole reason to watch the movie.
Listen, I
know you're not happy.
But for the sake of the channel, Ricky Van will watch Leprechaun.
And it'll be the first time we've been doing this now for 3 years. It'll be the first time we actually have Leprechaun on here, and people actually do like Leprechaun.
No, JR have been dying to get Leprechaun on the channel, and I always shut it down, bro. But I you know what? It's time. Let's do it.
Sorry, JR. I forced it because when we came up with this little idea here, I needed a holiday for March, and the only one I knew was going to be Leprechaun. I mean, I could have probably found something else, but
what else is there? No, listen. What else is there in March that's a holiday that's St. Patrick's Day? Come on, it's a must. So it fits the bill. So thank you, my friend. We'll see you in March.
Until next time, hopefully you enjoyed your Valentine's Day. And if you got a heart of chocolate, it did not have an actual heart. So join us next time because, as I said, we're going to be celebrating Leprechaun. So until next time, Joe the Psychologist, Ricky Van, we are out.
For the legend they say on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. In this little town, when the 14th comes round, there's a silence and fear in the air.